All right. Well, hi, everybody. You guys get to be the keepers of the truth here tonight and spread it all over the place. I'm Israel Haas. I'm volunteer with Coulee River Trails, and I'm here along with members of our steering committee. In fact, tonight it looks like we have we're dominating. The steering key, the Coulee River Trails steering committee is dominating. Jared Schmitz is going to be presenting tonight. Veronica Justin. We have others from our steering committee in the. Can we just wave your hands so we can acknowledge you? Jeff Reilly and Jay Stassen and Ed Lucas are also here from our Coulee River Trails steering committee, and we're really glad to have all of you here. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. One of my favorite things to do. I just love trails, and I love Coulee River Trails, and I'm really excited to be able to share a little bit with you guys tonight. So here's what's going to happen tonight. First, you're going to hear a little bit of the origin story, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. That's going to be my part. And then Veronica and Jared are going to talk about what's happening in what we call Zone 3, the Magee Park. And that will naturally lead right into the crown jewel. And Kristen Thompson gets to present on the crown jewel, Pine Coulee. And we also have, while I'm doing all these introductions, Rick Remington from Landmark as well, who's the executive director for Landmark, is here as well. And you'll see his picture. Look for him. Look for him. I think you'll see his picture. Oh, you might not, but it'll give you something to look for in the presentation here today. So let's start though with the backstory to Coulee River Trails, how it all began. So here's how it started. It all started with a random conversation that I had with Dr. Spicuzza, the superintendent of public schools. It was October 31, 2019. I was brand new executive director here at Freedom Park at the time, in a different role, a different life, it feels like. But he approached me after I gave a little presentation about Freedom Park and who I was at the Chamber of Commerce meeting, the Prescott Chamber of Commerce meeting. He approached me and said, hey, you know what? We have these new trails on just south of our brand new high school building in Prescott. Would you want to maybe partner with us on some programming and come up and check out the trails? And I said, absolutely, I'm there. So I went out, checked them out, and it was absolutely amazing. Then a little bit later, Brady Randolph, another community resident here, he approached me. He lives in the Great Rivers subdivision, which you'll see in some of our maps, just right up the road there. When Brady Randolph approached me and he said, hey, I got a couple of small kids. They love to ride their bikes. We want them to be able to connect with their friends in town, but there's no safe place and safe way to get across that bridge. You got trucks flying at 45 miles an hour. I approached the city. They couldn't do anything. I even called the DOT, nothing. Could you help? Then I encountered an old city document. And this old city document had a map that had trails, these red dotted lines going up and down all of the coulees. And I thought, wow, this is fascinating. How come nobody's talking about this? But soon afterwards, I found out there were actually a lot of people talking about it. And I pulled together a few people to start making a plan to create trails in Prescott. So here are some of the notes. Can you read it on the screen? No, of course you can. So the notes from one of our first meetings, the date, February 20, 2020. The attendees, Tom Guyer, Bailey Rona, Michael Kosmowski, and me. Anybody know any of those names? Yeah. So none of those people, well, Bailey is now on our steering committee, but some of them have moved on, but we got the conversation started. We sketched out a high-level plan based on zones, and if you're looking at these notes, you would see phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. We had in the school district part, we had the zones, basically like what we are now talking about them today. You'll see this in a minute. After that meeting, I started making calls, sending emails, trying to figure out how to get stuff done. Tom Guyer connected me with renowned trail designer Tim Wegner right here, who is one of the premier trail designers in Minnesota, Wisconsin, North Dakota area. And soon I was up at the school district with him, sketching out about 5 miles worth of trail on school district property. The Prescott Foundation gave us a grant to help with some of the trail building expenses, trail design expenses. And at that same time then, as I'm trying to call around and figure out how do we get stuff done, I found this guy who owned this land that was part of this original trail system. And I got his number, called him up, and he said, hey, I'm going to be in town next week. You want to meet up? We met right here, the owner of Coulee. We met right here in this building. He showed me this map right here that you can't see very clearly, but I'll show you in a minute. And then we went down and looked at Coulee, the property, Coulee, and I was absolutely flabbergasted. We have this amazing resource right here in town, and he wanted to partner with us to create this new trail system and nature preserve. So in August of 2020, we pulled together an experienced group of potential partners for a tour of Coulee. And you can see us here. It's COVID. We're all socially distanced, but we're outside. And there's, nope, I thought you were in that one, Rick, but you're not. You came at the next one, I think. Actually, I think you came on your own. But we started pulling together a group of interested people. Soon after, we convinced Rick to come and get Landmark involved, Landmark Conservancy. And when we got Landmark involved, that helped us connect with the National Park Service as we were appealing to them for support from the Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program. They helped us start sketching our mission, our vision. Oh, here's all of our partners. Our mission, our vision, and really our name. We were just kind of this idea until this group coalesced and became Coulee River Trails in January of 2021. By December, we were working with the city of Prescott to add Coulee River Trails to the outdoor recreation plan, the comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. And soon we were making the dream of yesteryear a reality today. Because as we started working through this plan to create this regional trail system, what we put together, these red lines that are now in the city of Prescott's comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, were eerily similar to what the city of Prescott had designed way back in 2006. So if you can see those red lines, I know it's really small for those of you in the room. You can see the red lines. You'll notice on the right side of the screen what the city had in mind in 2006. And on the left side of the screen, what we are creating today. It's taken 3 years, and what we've done in the last three years is absolutely amazing. People have been talking about trail systems here in Prescott, not just since 2006, but from what local historian Dallas Eggers tells me, his dad was talking about it 50 years ago. And we're starting to create this reality now because we finally have the right combination of factors coming together. The right time, the right people, the right partners. But it's not done yet. Because all of this green wooded area that you see here, this is all the coulees, where all the water flows and where none of it is buildable. But we see this as an opportunity to create something special, to conserve these natural resources, to create recreational spaces, because everything out to the side here and up to the north is going to turn into development in the next 30 years. What drives us at Coulee Rivers, what drives us in Coulee River Trails is really preserving this space in this unique window of time. We want to do that. We're passionate about it, and we have to start somewhere. So Magee Park is where it all began, because this was the only place where we had permission to work, and it's still the only place where we have permission to work. So I'm going to pass the baton after my lengthy introduction to Jared Schmitz and Veronica Justin. If you guys can just give them a round of applause, because these guys these guys have put in hundreds of hours with me over the last 3 years, deep in the slog of trying to create this thing. And so you're going to see it in a really remarkable space that they have started to create as we work together to make Coulee River Trails.
Awesome.
Jared?
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, thanks, Israel. So I guess I'll start out with basically saying, I'm a community resident who got involved when Israel approached me. Originally, I guess you were wondering about kind of like draft, or we were working on bringing people on who wanted to make it happen. And I have a background with trail design and working for the DNR in Minnesota. And with Israel getting us going here, he was excited to see what we could do. And I was really excited to see those connections in the community and see what we can create here. So this is where we ended up creating for the community, for the city of Prescott, that has been adopted as the official concept plan as money arises for the development of Magee Park. This took we had some workshop time with the city, and we had a lot of individual conversations and trying to feasibility of it. But I'll get to that in a second as we're kind of going through. So basically what I'm just going to show is kind of the things we've done at Magee Park to raise awareness, get excitement, and kind of build on the little bit that we're able to work with. 2021, again, Tim Wagner, we were able to enlist him to map out the trails for us, or trajectories of trails between Magee Park. At the time, we had the Magee Park was just those green area for the most part. The blue area was just city property. But Tim Wagner was able to take this topographic map and draw some handwritten lines on there, which we were then able to GIS and walk it out and flag it and make sure we made really good decisions on where a great trail experience would end up becoming something of a reality in this community, is what we were really hoping to get. So we did a great job with that, put a lot of hours, and we were excited to have Tim Wagner's expertise to kind of give us an idea of what we can do to make really good ADA, the green one here, which is going to be hopefully a paved trail soon, and then more mountain bike trails like we have in the blue one there. And so along with that was that area where we had those blue trails. That was always city property that would have been reserved part of a previous development just for stormwater drainage and stuff like that. And we were lucky enough to talk to the city and advocate to make that become part of the Magee Park. So we were able to expand Magee Park by, what was it, 13 more acres or 7 acres? What was it? Do you remember? 7? 9 more acres. Okay. So we were super excited about that, and it felt like, hey, we were making some wins, and we were definitely making our way on that. So getting started, we had a Magee Park, our Zone 3, which was made up of Israel, myself, Veronica, Jeff. I think that was basically the ones that were starting out there. Am I eating a rock, or what is you are drinking a 1970s beverage from there. So yeah, no. So we were getting together and say, what can we do to create something in this park that everyone is going to enjoy with the little bit and resources that we have? So we said, let's get out there and clean up. There's a lot of junk down there. There's a lot of garbage. So we hosted 2 good cleanup events where we just cleaned up garbage and junk, and we had a good crowd of a dozen people each time, which was fantastic. At this time with it, everything we did, we were like calling up the city and say, hey, are we allowed to do this? How do we do this? And how can we make this happen? And we were really kind of like we trying to make the phone calls and figure out how to just piecemeal things together to make stuff happen. So we were really excited to have a couple opportunities to make a difference in the park and get it cleaned up to start out. So that felt good. And then after that, so in 2021, we had Prescott Days came by, and we did the vendor booth there, where we were able to solicit to everyone a community survey to basically talk to everyone about what they want in a trail system. Try to get out to the city everywhere we could, any opportunity we could possibly do. We were trying to sell this survey to say, hey, what do you guys want in a park? Because we want to make this for the people. Not just kind of our own vision or anything like that, but the vision of the community. So we worked really hard at kind of get soliciting some stuff there, as well as then promoting some new events, kind of figuring out what we could do in the park that would be useful and great. So we came up with a couple things. The first one was a nice little bird hike where we had a Carpenter Center naturalist who came out and was showing us the different bird sounds and everything like that. And it was a fantastic little walk through the woods. We saw fun different species of plants. We saw some great butterflies. What was there? It was like salamander or something like that we saw out there too. Yeah, that was pretty amazing. So then we followed it up with our first buckthorn busting event, where we went and we started to try to cut fruiting buckthorn to try to eradicate a very invasive species of plant. And then we had our first community talk like this one, where we had Tim Wagner right there communicating with us about trail design and what we were trying to do, kind of like what we're doing, but a lot more preliminarily than where we are right now. So it feels like it's forever ago that we were at that point. So that was a fantastic first year to get ourselves started. And starting out in the fall, then we said our last event, we're going to capstone this year out, or this season out, and we're going to have a fun community event, and we were going to do a candlelight hike. So this started out with the many of us who could go in there just trying to cut a trail through the buckthorn before the snow flew, that we thought would work really well for a winter hike. And then Israel spent every single day for, I think, 3 months straight on a heavy weighted sled, just pushing it through there to try to make it groomed enough that people could walk, hike, and snowshoe. And I'm not exaggerating at all right there at all. He was out there every single day pretty much. And then we had a fantastic first event where we learned a lot of things about how to make this event better. And we had a lot of outrushing. We said there was, I think we counted 80 people that came to that event, which was fantastic for our first real large public entertaining event, where we didn't ask anybody to donate their time and get their hands too dirty. So going into 2022, we continued to try to constantly groom those trails and promoting it on Facebook to get people out there and enjoying it. And there's Israel out there in negative 12 degrees. He wasn't going to miss a day. And so then we were able to have, luckily, a group of U of M students who were working on their capstone project. And so we were selected as an item, a group for them to do an analysis on our park to figure out, hey, how can we ecologically, environmentally make sure that we're making good decisions for this park development as well. So they did an analysis of the hydrology and potential engineering needs that we could likely need for this park. And so that's something that we've been able to utilize as we're looking at the development going to the city, and as well as for the grants and everything like that. It's February through March. We did that whole week workshop with the city, and it went to the city on February 23rd. The Parks Department took it to the City Council for them to vote to create that as the official concept plan, which we saw earlier in the slides there. Going on from that, and that was the one picture that's right there. Buckthorns number 2 and 3. We kept cutting buckthorn. We were getting ourselves dirty. There's a picture of me with a very nice beard at the time, and it was a struggle. We were starting to realize that this event, this cutting buckthorn, trying to figure out how to clean up this native landscape is very difficult. We were able to have a specialist who, Cody Tromberg, was that who it was? Who was it? Someone who came and helped us, who talked to us about what would be good. Jeff Storkamp, John Storkamp. So talked about how he was a specialist. I talked about what kind of things we can do in the future to keep eradicating this buckthorn. So treating it properly and trying to keep up with it and getting rid of this fruiting one. I also scratched my cornea that day, which was months upon months of repair, but that was fantastic. People's feet getting dirty there and everything like that too. And then May through September, that whole summer, basically, we went through a large, we took a large endeavor of IDing all the plants, looking for good species, looking to get an idea of what is good and what is not when it comes to the plant species in that area, and what we should really be making good decisions on. We even had the school district come out, and 47 students did there. So number 4 time in August, we did buckthorn. We got rid of the goats. We got the goats out there. We had 100 goats that time, which was fantastic. And they were able to get out there, and the city was able to fund that for us and get that first real big buckthorn eradicating adventure done. And that made such a huge difference. It was amazing. And coming up in August there, we also signed our memorandum of understanding with the city. This gave us a little bit more, felt like we had a lot more presence when it came to everything. We were, everything up until this point was anything the idea we had, anything we wanted to do at Magee Park, we were going to the city and saying, hey, are we allowed to do this? Oh, let's talk to the city council. Let's talk to the parks department. And this gives us a little bit more leverage and understanding of, hey, we can make some ideas and enact things to have be beneficial to the park on our own without having to go through the city for every single little piece, which was great. And felt like a real win. And then the city one day, they just came down there with an excavator, and then they started to, the main trails down there, they cut a grade. And so like I took a survey level on there and made sure we had less than a 5% grade, which would be for the future paved trail ADA compliant. So we were, the city came and they brought an excavator down and they graded the first 100 yards of the trail to make sure that it will be ready for when we're able to get to the next stage of our development of this trail. So that was phenomenal to see them just come out and help us out with that. So I felt amazing. Then we cut more buckthorn, and then we cut more buckthorn again. We even had a volunteer group from UNFI come out, which was great. And then you can see some of them there. And then in the winter, we had a huge win when it came to these preliminary trails. Ed Lucas, who is over here, and then I forgot how Hovel, right? What was his name? Nick Hovel. They were able to get enlisted into this project and helped us out tremendously. So they had a four-wheeler with a rake. We had a snowmobile machine that was able to get up on steeper slopes, and we were able to groom these trails like flawlessly. They looked like they should have been being used for cross-country skiing. They were so amazing. It was phenomenal what they were able to do, and got us ready for our next winter candlelight hike, which was so much, even, it was such an improvement from the year before. And it also made amazing trails all winter long for people to enjoy, which was phenomenal. And we had quite a great turnout for that. And we were really happy and satisfied, and we're so excited to do this event again. This year, we also did rental snowshoes through the city's Prescott Community Ed. So they did, they had a small fee, and then they were able to go walk through there too with new snowshoes, which was amazing. It was a great event. And then came 2023, where we've basically kept grooming those trails. We've got these things in place that we've been working on. The city is totally on board with what we're doing. They said they're willing to try to help us clear this trail. They were applying for grants on our behalf while they were doing that. So the city came out, they staked out the edges so they could come out there when they had time and to clear it and grub it. They didn't get a lot of time to get that done, but in the meantime, they were able to apply for a grant and receive confirmation of a $280,000 grant that hopefully will be able to be secured for us to develop that entire paving of that initial one. So we're really close with making that happen, which was phenomenal. Then this September, we also had the goats again. So they came for 3 weeks, and we were amazed that they did a little bit more work on it. In October, we had a brush hog out there on that green trail for where we have it started. So hopefully this winter, when we do some of our grooming again, and this fall, right now the trails are looking amazing. They're really worth getting out and walking. But beyond that, our big summer this year has been working on the skills park. And I'm going to leave Veronica to talk about that. And I'm just excited about all the work we've been doing. And I'm excited to go to the next level. And I feel like the skills park here was one thing that is a real presence to everybody right now. And I'm excited for everyone to get out there who can. And I'll let Veronica talk about that a little bit more. So I appreciate it. And thank you guys.
Hi, I'm Veronica Justin. I'm a community member, so I live in Oak Grove Township, and I have 2 kids in the school district. And one of the things that I love to do is mountain bike. And so when I met Israel, actually the first time I met Israel, we were out in Kinnickinnick State Park, and we were helping to build a mountain bike trail that was designed by Tim Wegner. So it's kind of all full circle here. And I'm involved pretty heavily in the mountain biking community and coach mountain biking in River Falls, and have been really impressed with the opportunity that mountain biking gives to youth to feel empowered, to gain confidence, especially for young girls. Learning how to mountain bike is really awe-inspiring to see them take on challenges head on. And so when I learned about this opportunity to develop a trail system in Prescott, I thought this is great to have hiking trails and to have the ability to conserve some habitat for wildlife. But I also thought it's going to be really great to have mountain biking trails, especially in our community, especially for people that don't have the ability to transport their bikes to places like River Falls or Hudson. And so I was super excited that we had the opportunity to do this in Magee Park. If you haven't been to Magee Park, you may notice that Magee Park doesn't have the greatest you know, front yard presence, so to speak, right? You drive into Magee Park and it's recycling containers. It's a gravel road. And when I first noticed about Magee Park is I thought maybe it was a landfill because one of the first things you notice about Magee Park, or used to notice, was that the area where Israel and Holly are standing, and I don't know those other two, but where they're standing, that is the area that is now the Skills Park. So when I first visited Magee Park, I think there was a television, some old lawnmowers, a dishwasher, a bunch of concrete, broken glass. And up above on the hillside, right, those are homes there. Those are families that have children that sometimes come down the hill. And I was like, this is not an inviting place. It's not a safe place. And if this is based on our concept plan of what Magee Park could look like, this is not what we want to be like as our shining, you know, kind of opening act for this park. And so once we had trails designed for the green and blue trail system, I talked to Jared and Israel and I was like, it would be really great if this kind of eyesore that you see when you enter the park, if it had some purpose to it. And so it's very heavily disturbed land. So we didn't feel like the us disturbing it anymore would be, you know, like we'd be degrading any sort of habitat or things like that. Although we did do plant inventories and, you know, there wasn't anything of concern there that we'd be damaging or removing in the process. But I was really interested in how we could develop this into a skills park. So if you're not familiar with mountain biking trail systems, typically there are well-defined, we call them single track trails because they're wide enough for one bike to pass on. They're usually like unidirectional, so you go like either clockwise or counterclockwise. They take a lot of effort to build, and they're not necessarily the place where a young person that's starting to learn how to mountain bike, or any person that's learning how to mountain bike, that they would like feel like this is the place I can start learning my skills, right? So a skills park is a place that helps invite people into the sport of mountain biking, into developing, you know, the skills of going over obstacles and developing their ability to travel fast. And so what was really great about this place is there's some natural elevation. So if you've walked in this disturbed area at the beginning of Magee Park, Jared, you're better at topography, but I don't know how many, you know, 30 feet difference between some of the elevation in that space that was naturally there. I don't know. Yeah. So I was excited to have this ability to take this kind of disturbed space and use it as a canvas for us to build a skills park. So Jared and I and Israel as well, and Ed, we all did a lot of thinking about what this space could be. So what you see is our beginning of kind of staking out a trail system and imagining like what would be, you know, the best use of this space, the most efficient use of this space for us to have all these different obstacles and runs that people can do in this small area of space. But that took a lot of work. So just like other parts of Magee Park, being a heavily disturbed area, lots of invasive species, lots of brush, lots of other material that isn't really helpful in building trails. So we're really, really thankful for all the community members, again, especially Ed and Jared and Israel and others that came to support us in removing the brush, starting some initial grading. We're thankful for the local trucking company, I can't remember their name, DZ Trucking, and some other community members that were able to donate fill and other resources for us to start doing the grading of this area. And so it's been a progress. So a work in progress. We started in earnest this work at the beginning of May, I think, of 2023. So this is some of the images you see from that. What doesn't help you is when you have an extreme rainfall event the day before or while you're trying to do this work. And so you'll see a lot of muddy pictures because we tend to pick our work days around rain events. So this is showing you some of the work that we were doing. So a lot of fill has been brought into the area. So this is you know, the porta potty that's there, and this is the entrance to the other trail systems in Magee Park. And then this is up on the hillside where the residential development is. So a lot of fill was brought in, a lot of working with equipment, which has been one of our biggest barriers in making a skills park and will be a barrier to us in the future, is access to equipment that allows us to make some of these trails. It's usually done with mini excavators or small excavation equipment. So we're really thankful for community members that have donated some of their time and equipment, and also to the city for donating their use of equipment. So we're thankful for the city to help us continue to grade it. So after our workday in May, the city, you know, they saw the potential that the skills park could have. And I think some interest in some of the city workers in seeing this come to fruition really helped move this project to being able to be completed this year. So thanks to the city, we were able to grade out more of the areas of the skills park to have the actual defined lines that we wanted. And thanks to Ed and other community members for helping us with building materials, because a lot of skills park features involve wood or rocks or other materials to kind of create challenges. And so we had a very nice build day about a month ago to kind of, what I would say, put most of the kind of intermediate finishing touches on our skills park. And so we're really, really happy to have opened this up to the community now. So you can see there's probably 3 or 4 lines of obstacles that are in that skills park now. And we have opportunity for more things to be developed. So what we are hopeful in the future is to continue to refine the skills park so that more community members will be able to utilize it. I personally see a lot of potential for like community education classes being offered. You may not know this, but mountain biking is one of the largest growing sports for youth. So for instance, in the Minnesota Cycling Association, which is where our Prescott students compete for cycling races, there are 2,700 students that compete in mountain biking races for the Minnesota Cycling Association. So it's a very fast growing program and a lot of opportunity for young people to be outside and being active and enjoying these outdoor spaces. So we're really excited to have this opportunity to continue to offer this to the community. And what you see there are young people riding on the trails. And as soon as they saw us finishing the obstacle park, they were like waiting in the wings. And they started to come and approach us and wanted to be riding like as soon as they saw it was done. And so I think that's a good testament to like the joy that people are going to find in using this public space for their recreation. So with that, I think we had left a few minutes for questions that you all might have about Coulee River Trail specifically or about Magee Park. Otherwise, the second half of our presentation will be provided by Landmark Conservancy. So I don't know if we have time for a few questions.
We have some time for a couple questions.
Okay.
What are your questions, you guys? Any questions about what we're doing, about any of the zones, about any of the history, backstory?
When I was looking at the picture and she had those up and you said the residential area that was on the bottom there. So was that the top of the hill where you go down on the left-hand side when I was a kid?
Yeah,
where the road went down?
Yeah, the image where you could see the porta potty was taken from up on the hill where the Great Rivers.
Not where the road. I think what you're talking about is the road that
Wiscola
came off of what's now, what's the name of the street? Circle? Dang it. So the new development went in. There used to be a road that went down, and you can still, if you go into Magee Park, on the north side of the park, you can actually, if you dig down in the soil, there's pavement there. So this is on the sand pit side of things.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, we show you on a map. Yeah, let's see here. I have a map back, way back in here. Okay. So here's Magee Park.
Yeah.
Here is
Flora Square.
Flora Square. That's what I'm thinking of. Yep. Here's Flora Square. The road that used to run down into the area where there was a pavilion, you play baseball and all that kind of thing back in here with a shooting range for the Prescott Police Department. That's all right in here. Okay. And that road came right down through here. Now it's in somebody's backyard.
And so and show me there where the
skills park is on this side.
Oh.
So that road was right up in here.
Yeah.
The skills park is right in here. So this is the newer development. This is the Great Rivers subdivision that's going to have, when completed, 6 parts to it. There's already 100 homes there, new homes in the Great Rivers development. And then this is the what is that development called? The Pine Ridge development. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Other questions? Yeah.
So I've driven up and down the Great River Road, and I looked I've seen your literature and I was like, this is so cool. But I'm trying to envision how anyone would get on a trail near the water.
Oh, good.
Because that's where I want to be.
Maybe should we save that question for you guys?
Sure.
Or do you want to answer that right now?
I'm like, how are you gonna get on there? How are you gonna get down there?
Yeah, you know, we haven't, we have some proposed trails that we'll get to on the slide. And it will be kind of a combination of biking trails and ADA trails, and then some more rustic trails as well. So there's a couple of overlooks that have been pinpointed, but then when you get, you can go under the railroad tracks to get all the way to the water on the Pine Coulee property.
We have been there by river, you know, at least take our dinghy or canoes and our kids, and you could make a landing down there too.
You can, yep. Yep, it is accessible directly from the Mississippi.
Especially when it's flooded, you can get in.
Yep, you can get all the way up into the coulee right in here. Not to take anything away from Kristen's, but what's that?
It's a cool place to go with kayaks.
Really cool. It's really cool. Any other questions on Coulee River Trails?
Giving a map.
Yeah, in fact, I'm gonna take one down, pass them around here. These are the maps of the trail system with the zones. So you have the zones overlaid, and those zones, as you see, I didn't really talk much about the zones, but those zones, zone 1 is the school district property, zone 2 is private land, zone 3 is public land, that's the Magee Park, and then zone 4 is Pine Coulee. So each of those zones, we also have zones 5 and 6, and undeveloped zone 7 that we are dreaming about. So these ones are the biggest focus of our attention right now. And each of them require whole different strategies for building a plan and accessing property and creating trail system and preserving those spaces.
I have a question.
Yeah,
I
Kathy.
was a little confused on when I read the paper this week that the school district is talking about selling some property. Is that this zone?
Zone 1. So that is correct.
Oh my gosh.
This section right here, so the purple section, if you have the purple on the map, the purple section is zone 1. There are 2 parcels there. The southern parcel is 14.6 acres, and you'll notice that it does have a trail corridor going through that. So we have, on behalf of Coulee River Trails, we have appealed to the school board, and we're awaiting further response on that, but that is a request for proposal, has a deadline of November 13 for submissions for letters of intent to purchase that property. And we intend to also show up at the school board meeting, and we would encourage anybody else who wants to come to the school board meeting, if you have kids, grandkids in the school district, and have an opinion about the project. We would love to have your presence there at the school board meeting on November 15, Wednesday, November 15. School board meeting is at 6 o'clock in the public school, in the high school library. So the school board has assured us that they are not making decisions about the sale of that property on November 15. But we are concerned. And we want to make sure that for the good of the community, that the school board is informed. They have a lot of tough decisions that they have to make right now. We're hoping that we can maintain that trail connection somehow.
Historically, did the school buy it because it was all in one purchase that they have?
Yeah, so historically, it's unbuildable land that is beautiful land for recreation and restoration and potential educational use for outdoor education, restoration, trails, various kinds that students would use, both for school activities like cross country and also for other kinds of educational activities. There's a lot more we could say on that. We will say a lot more about that. But we do want to give plenty of time to talk about Zone 4, which is the crown jewel of this whole thing. But each one of these pieces is really, really critical. And Franz, I saw you had your hand up. Yeah.
Yeah, at zone 2 with the private property, there were some issues there. If that was feasible, if they were going to get easements or something, has that been worked out? Or is that-
The property has changed hands, and we are actively engaged with new owners. And we're hopeful that we'll be able to extend the trail access in some capacity in the future through that property. But of course, that's subject to a lot of negotiations, and it is in private land, right? Private hands right now. So a big part of this for us and the success of this overall project is going to be getting legal agreements for access on all of the parcels. So with that, I think Zone 4, you want to just scroll through all the way in there?